Wowee, wow, wow, wow! Gah, this thing makes me feel tiny! Today's review is going to be all about the Russian Big. First thing I gotta do is give a shout out to Kai. Kai has an online vape shop out of Germany called ezig-online.de. They were kind enough to send me this Russian Big along with the beauty ring for the Russian Big and an iTaste 134. And the first person to guess exactly how many mils goes into this bad girl is a guy by the name of Watcher Rich. Watcher Rich was the first to guess that the Russian Big holds 11 mils. Hit the nail right on the head. So congratulations, brother. I'll get this whole unit out to you ASAP. I've been playing with this thing for the past week now, and I'll tell you what, I like it better than the Russian 91%. And the reason why I like it better than the Russian 91% is because, one, it freaking holds 11 mils. Holy shitogi. Flapping dibbity dap 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 dap. Crazy shit. 11 mils? What? I've never even heard of a tank holding that much e-liquid. I'm sure there's something out there that I've never heard of, but this is a first for me. I'm the type of guy that when I vape, I'm looking for convenience, okay? For me, heftiness, heavy, that really doesn't matter to me because most of the time I'm indoors. I'm packaging stuff. I'm usually pretty sedentary because of, what I do. Having a device that holds more e-liquid, that's sick as tits. It's just more convenient. I don't have to keep filling this stuff up. 11 mils, geez. I usually go through about 3 mils of e-liquid a day. One tank lasted me about 3.5 days. 3.5 days without filling this sucker back up. That's fantastic. I noticed that with this device, the Russian Big, the air draw compared to the Russian 91%, when adjusted to wide open, is airier than the 91%, which I prefer. I like the airier draw. Right now I've got this set up. I've got a 28 gauge, regular 28 gauge microcoil in here. It's reading 2.1 ohms. I've got it on this iTaste 134, and I've got it set to its maximum wattage, which is 12.5 watts. Wide open, this thing can chuck it. Not far off from an RDA. It's about what the Russian 91% is. The flavor on this device, it's all dependent on how you build your coils. This is a rebuildable tank atomizer. So if you build shitty coils, you're gonna get a shitty vape. But if you can build shizzy coils, you're in for a treat. And with this shizzy coil I got in here, she's putting out. So all this device is a much larger version of a Russian 91%. The only three differences I found compared to the Russian 91%, one, just like I mentioned, the airflow, I can get it to where it's a little bit airier once set all the way wide open. The juice capacity, this thing holds 11 mils. I believe the Russian 91 holds, 4.5 mils. It holds more than twice as much e-liquid than the Russian 91%. And also it's got a different adjustable 510 connection pin. It's actually a floating pin, which I'll show you guys in a close-up. Those are basically the only three differences. The finish is exactly the same. It's got that sandblasted satin matte finish. But does it perform different than the Russian 91%? It does perform a little bit different. First, I'm gonna go over the pros, then I'm gonna go over the cons. I noticed that this thing wicks super efficiently. This being a larger tank, the way it wicks even better than the Russian 91%. I noticed that with the Russian 91%, the way it wicks is fantastic. But as I build smaller coils, like nano coils, anything smaller than a coil wrapped around a 564 drill bit, I noticed those type of coils have a little bit more trouble wicking in the Russian 91. With this thing, it wicks no matter what. I put 2 different nano coils in here, and it wicked fantastic. Better than the Russian 91%. I actually built the same exact setup in both this one and the Russian 91%. This outperformed it as far as wicking. I've got 100% VG juice in here right now, and I can take hit after hit after hit after hit. And the airflow is wide open, which means there's less suction, there's less pressure, and it still wicks great. I mean, no dry hits. None whatsoever. With the Russian 91%, I noticed that every 3 to 4 dry hits, when vaping on something like a nano coil, I would start to get a dry hit. And what I'd have to do was tighten that airflow, do little primer puffs, get the juice to those wick and coil, and I'd be good to go. But it'd be like every 3 to 4 hits. With this device, I don't have to deal with that. So my conclusion is I think that the larger tank size plays a big part in the way this device wicks. Another pro, love the adjustable airflow. Just like the Russian 91%, the adjustable airflow is in the exact same spot. At the base on the outside, you screw it in for a tighter draw. You pull it out for a looser draw. Love the finish on this device. It's just like the Russian 91%, and I think it screams total class. Just like its little brother, it comes with a mouthpiece that is already installed. You unscrew it, but it also comes with a 510 drip tip adapter, which you unscrew this, put the 510 drip tip adapter on there, and with that 510 drip tip adapter, I find that all my drip tips have been compatible. Another big pro, just like I mentioned before, it's got the adjustable 510 pin. It's a floater pin. The Russian Big alone weighs 136 grams. I mean, that is huge. That is freaking monstrous. And to me, I like heavy things. When I'm vaping a heavy device, it makes me feel like I'm vaping something that is more sturdy. It's stronger. It's going to hold up and last longer. And I like that. It holds 11 mils, just like I mentioned. That's huge. I mean, I vaped 3.5 days before this thing went bone dry. Super skunky. Big to me screams badass. But there are some of you guys out there that like smaller devices. So this is big, and if you don't like heavy things, if you don't like big things, you're probably not going to like it. That right there looks the tits. It's flush. It's got the beauty ring that Kai sent me on this 134, which is about 30 millimeters in width. So on this device, it looks awesome, but on any other mechanical mod, I mean, it freaking dwarfs it. Here's the Russian Big on the Big Nasty. This thing is freaking dwarfing it. Jeez, look at that thing. The Big on the Panzer. I mean, it's just not proportional, okay? Even goofier looking. I mean, this is like putting a 22 millimeter tank on an Ego C Twist. Doesn't go. Unfortunately, the only thing that it fits flush with that I've seen so far is the iTaste 134. So those are the pros and the cons of the Russian Big. Now we're going to go ahead, dive down. I'm going to show you guys the Russian Big disassembled, all the parts, go over all that stuff, all that gravy. We're going to put her back together, and then we're going to wrap her up. Alright, so here's the Russian Big disassembled. You've got your top portion of this device. Okay, the top portion. There are your threads for the drip tip that comes with this device. Threads are buttery smooth. All along this device, the threads are buttery smooth. Next, you have the base and deck section. In my right hand is the Russian 91% base and deck section, and in my left hand is the Russian Big. They don't call her the Russian Big for nothing. I mean, look at the size difference. It's like twice as big. Crazy. The deck section on the Russian Big in my left hand is the exact same size as the deck section on the Russian 91%. Exact same size. Everything about the deck and the upper deck is the same. But I just wanted to show you guys a size comparison, and as you can see, it is a huge difference. Huge! So here's a close-up of the base and deck section. As you can see, you got those two canals. You've got your fill port right here. And how this works is your coil sits up here. It connects to these two connections. The wick sits on the lower deck, and the juice flows up these canals right here on both sides. Right here is your adjustable airflow. Just like the Russian 91%, you've got adjustable airflow. So if you want to tighten up the draw, you just screw that in. If you want to loosen the draw, you just screw it back out. Here's your airflow hole right here. This is where you fill up this device. Unscrew the screw right here. Fill up your device upside down. That's how that works, just like the Russian 91%. 510 connection threads, buttery smooth. Has fit on all my devices, variable voltage, variable wattage, mechanical mods, etc. And as you can see, it's got an adjustable 510 connection pin. Okay, so I mean, with ease, It adjusts to any female connection. Okay, so then you have your tank section, which is made up of 3 individual parts. I mean, that is just huge. Huge! So yeah, made up of 3 individual parts. You've got your stainless steel section, you've got your PMMA or acrylic section, and you've got your other stainless steel section. Now it does come with another center section that is also stainless steel and matches the rest of this device. You got the 2 pieces that make up the bell chamber. The top portion of the bell chamber screws into the base portion of the bell chamber. The shinier bell chamber is for the Russian 91. The more satin finish is for the Russian Big. And as you can see, they are pretty much the exact same size. Then you have the mouthpiece that comes with this device. The mouthpiece screws in to the top portion of this device. Like so. In the extras comes with a screwdriver, just like in the Russian 91%. Okay, so on this side, you've got your Phillips head. And then on this side, you've got your flathead. The flathead is for your adjustable airflow control, and your Phillips head is for your 2 connections at the deck and for the fill screw at the base. You also receive this prong rod looking thing, and when I first saw it I was like, what the heck is that for? You see inside there those 2 prong holes at that 510 adjustable pin? Well, that's what those prongs are for. This piece right here, and you can actually unscrew that, loosen it up, and when you unscrew it and loosen it up, sometimes I find that the deck comes loose just like that. So if I want to reposition that and line it up, I just do so just like that. Hold it down, place those prongs in those holes, and then I just tighten her back up. Just like that. So just like your Russian 91%, it pretty much assembles the exact same way. Once you have your wick and coil all situated and connected to these connections, you screw your chamber on there, pop your tank section on there, tighten her down, screw the top portion of this device onto the tank section, which fastens the shaft of the chamber into this O-ring. Okay, then all you do, unscrew this screw, fill her up, and she's good to go. A little bit more about this device as far as material specs and all that good stuff. This device is made of 316 stainless steel. The middle section is made up of acrylic. This device holds, like I mentioned, 11 mils. The diameter, what? 30 millimeter. 30 millimeter. Crazy. This thing weighs 136 grams. The length of this device with the drip tip is 82.7 millimeters. So those are all the specs for the Russian Big. I'm going to go ahead and put a coil in here, fill her up, and we're going to take it back to the original screen and vape some more. So that, boys and girls, is the Russian Big. This device, the Russian Big, is not going to be available until March of this year. And they will be available at www.ezig-online.de. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, that's the Russian Big on the iTaste 134. I almost forgot the price. Duh. The price is going to be around $135 US. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead. Vaping is the future, and the future's now.